own self, I get no help, and that's no fair, so don't go there. I've been hell and back. I got scorched hair in this Gucci cap. I got empty bottles and a million follows. I regret swallowing the Ativan. Yeah, let's be real. I resent the way that I feel. I pretend that it's cool, but I miss getting drunk, and I'm angry that God doesn't help when I kneel. I said my prayers. When I got clean, it just got worse. I quit doing drugs and I pleaded with Jesus to save me, but he didn't hear my words. The don't work, it hurts. I went to church, now I need liquid courage. Whiskey in my glass, I take the knives out of my back to stir it. Go to hell and back again, then show you burns to prove I earned it. I need shots of God to gain the strength I need. I'm just a person. I pray on my way to the liquor store, and they lock the door, 'cause I'll lay in my grave. If the whiskey pours like it did before, I'm scared. I send out a prayer. Can anybody hear me? Is anybody there? 'Cause honestly it hurts, and every day's worse. I keep buying whiskey when all I need is church. I keep talking to God, but he don't hear me. And my demons are there, always listening. I get lost in the dark, drowning in whiskey. And I went in so far, you say you miss me. I'm on a ship in a bottle, so say goodbye at the shore. Break the glass, you'll find me, I'm not who I was before. Close my eyes in the darkness and hold on through the storm. I'm a wreck in a bottle, I wasn't built for a war. There's church pews, bright lights, whiskey glasses, bottles of booze. Make short days turn long nights. The bottle, the Bible, I didn't know what to choose. I pray on my way to the liquor store, then they lock the door, 'cause I'll lay in my grave. If the whiskey pours like it did before, I'm scared. I send out a prayer. Can anybody hear me? Is anybody there? 'Cause honestly it hurts, and every day is worse. I keep buying whiskey when all I need is church. I can't breathe, but the Bible's still with me. My eyes can't see from the bottles of whiskey. I don't believe anybody will miss me. And I'm on my knees. Tell me, God, are you listening? I pray on my way to the liquor store, then they lock the door, 'cause I'll lay in my grave. If the whiskey pours like it did before, I'm scared. I send out a prayer. Can anybody hear me? Is anybody there? 'Cause honestly it hurts, and every day is worse. I keep buying whiskey when all I need is church.
Bipolar depression. It's a dark, lonely place.
This is art inspired by real stories of people living with bipolar depression.
Emptiness. A hopeless struggle.
The lows of bipolar depression can disrupt your life.
I'm not big on fighting these days, and I don't call the cops. And I'm not big on scrapping lately.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Smack Talk Live. I am Coach Lone Wolf. We are a day late and a dollar short, but hey, we're here.
Better late than never.
That's right. So, getting ready for today's show, I thought, you know what? We got NCAA talk. We got a little bit of NFL action. We got some people spouting off about Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah.
Not a huge, horribly busy week. Then all of a sudden, after lunch, the sports world kind of exploded.
Right.
We have some huge trades in the NFL that are going to impact the draft, and I think the future of a lot of teams. And then the big news, I think could have future ramifications for the Wisconsin Badgers basketball program and that is Texas was shocked by Shaka Smart.
They were, yeah.
And we'll get into that. We won't get into that, right away. But I think that's an intriguing story in my mind. So I
agree. It is. It definitely is. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very, very interested in talking about that story when we get there. But we're gonna start off. We're gonna preview this Sweet 16, and if you listened to the show last week, we filled out our inaugural Smack Talk bracket, and we're not doing too hot here.
No, we're not.
I mean, if we went with some of our gut feelings, we would probably be doing pretty good.
You know what? That's usually how it goes, though.
But we outthought ourselves.
Yeah.
Quite a bit, to be honest. But I will tell you
this. I'll say this, though, Coach. I mean, I would say there's a lot of people that were looking at Illinois as a team that could make a run, and that disappointed quite a few, I'm sure. So
yeah. Oh, absolutely. And to be honest, though, when you look at it, there are a lot of people that picked Illinois to win it all.
Yeah, right.
That picked, I'm looking at the bracket right now. That picked Texas to go deep. We had them going deep. We had them going to the Elite Eight.
We did. Yeah.
And
that really hurt, with their loss to Abilene Christian in the first round. Yeah.
So, but I will tell you this, we have your Cinderella story that we picked all the way to the Sweet 16. Loyal
Chicago. No, I don't know if we picked them that far.
We were going to pick them, and then we talked ourselves out of it because they were playing Illinois. So
this is the beauty of the second chance. So I filled out a bunch of second chance brackets on ESPN.
Exactly.
Because of the Sweet 16 now that they're giving people that chance. So I feel like we get a little redemption, hopefully, with this.
Right, and then we talked about Creighton. We did pick them in the first round, but then we picked them losing to Virginia. But we said that Creighton is a team that all year was pretty good.
They were,
but with off the court stuff going on, we didn't know what kind of response the players would have to the coach. Well, obviously we know now. They're in the Sweet 16.
Right. They're in the Sweet 16. The players went out and they just played their hearts out and they played well. So. Yeah, and I mean, anytime people win, they might say, "Oh, well, they beat a team who was lower seed in the second game."
Matter.
It doesn't matter. Yeah,
you got there,
hot. Right?
You know what? Even if they lose to Gonzaga, which that will be the game we're going to start out with here, anyways. Sure. Even if they lose to Gonzaga, guess what? They forever can say we were in the Sweet 16.
Right.
And unless you are a college basketball snob, nobody's going to remember that they ended up beating, University of California, Santa Barbara, and Ohio to get there. Nobody's going to remember that.
Right. Well, and even if you do, I mean, I look at that and I say, okay, you know what? You got through the teams you were supposed to get through, and in the second round, not even in the first round, but in the second round, you beat a team that already won a game. So obviously that team deserved to be there because they didn't just win that game. I mean, they played well. They won. I mean, they won by a lot.
And Ohio beat a very good Virginia team.
They did.
And we said, how good is Virginia? How good is the ACC this year? Because of all the COVID stuff, we just didn't know. We obviously found out.
Yeah.
Because I don't think did even one ACC team make it.
Syracuse is still in.
Cool, because I like Jim Boeheim. I like Boeheim, so I hope
Right.
I'm kind of rooting for him to make another run at the title before he retires. But anyways, let's talk about the Gonzaga game. Gonzaga versus Creighton. Not shocking of the matchup. The matchup's not shocking. Creighton's a good team. We talked about that.
Yeah.
I just wow. Gonzaga's just steamrolling everybody. I mean,
and it's clear to me that we talked about this, and I think we picked them as our eventual champion. They're better than everybody else.
yeah.
I mean, they're just good. They're just that good. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think this will be a good game.
Yeah.
It's a Sweet 16. I think this is going to be a good game, but I think Gonzaga is going to win this, move on to the Elite Eight.
Right.
Now here's where, we kind of get messed up because we had this entire bottom of the bracket horribly wrong.
Right. Yeah.
Well, we did have USC and Kansas moving on second round, but we had Kansas.
You just had Kansas beating USC, and I gotta say, USC torched Kansas. It wasn't even close.
Yeah, and
that was complete domination.
I'll tell you what, I did not see Oregon making it to the Sweet 16.
No, same for me too.
But I mean,
the Pac-12 did a lot better than we thought.
But see, here's the thing, and this is where I have a problem with the NCAA not allowing replacement teams after that third date. Oregon got through, and this is where I have a problem with this.
Right, because VCU went out.
Exactly. VCU went out. They didn't play a first-round game, so they got to bye to the second round.
Yeah.
And this is where I have a problem. Oregon has played one less game than everybody.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with that. I don't care if you say, well, but no. You play 2 games in 3 days.
Right.
And Iowa had, they only won by 12 in the first round. So they had to play all game.
Yeah, it was a tough game. They had to play the whole game. Exactly. Yep.
And Oregon did
a fresh team that comes in. Yeah.
Right. So if I'm Iowa, I'm kind of perturbed here. Now, would it have made a difference? They lost by 15. I don't know, but still, looking at
begs the question the whole time,
right?
It's, you think about it. Nevertheless, it could have made a difference.
So we get to this Sweet 16 matchup. You have USC versus Oregon, 2 conference foes. I'm not sure what their head-to-head was, but I like what USC did more than what Oregon has done. The Big Ten, for as good of a basketball conference they are, stinks in the tournament. Stinks. Absolutely stinks.
Yeah. And I thought this year might be different. We both kind of did, and they disappointed,
I mean, the only team that there's 2 teams in the Big Ten that kind of have performed the way we thought they would. That's Michigan, and Wisconsin, because we picked Wisconsin losing in the second round. They did what they were supposed to do in the tournament.
Right. They destroyed North Carolina, which we thought, and then they lost to a better Baylor team.
Right, but you have Illinois getting bounced in the second round. Ohio State getting bounced in the first round. Iowa losing in the second round.
I said Oral Roberts, they had a chance in that game, and I thought a 15 was going to do it to a 2, and they did. So,
and now they're sitting in the Sweet 16.
Right? Yeah.
I mean, if you're Oral Roberts, I don't think it's going to happen. But
I don't think so.
You could see a Loyola Chicago, Oral Roberts national semifinal.
Yeah, yeah.
You could. As of right now, we still could, which would be kind of cool. I would like that. I think that'd be neat to see. I don't think it's going to happen, but
I'll say this, Coach, and I'm glad you said that, because that's what people love about the tournament. It's not what the commentators talk about or want to see. They always want to see that, oh, it'd be so cool to have this team play this team, but they're always the big name teams for the big seeds. No, people watching the tournament, they want to see those little schools make a run.
Right.
That's the beauty of the tournament. You know,
we don't want to see the same schools year after year like we did. We don't. Fans don't want that.
Yeah, they like upsets. They like small schools winning. They like different teams winning.
Right. So back to the second Sweet 16 matchup, USC versus Oregon. You know, I don't know much about this. I'm not a big Pac-12 fan. I don't think that's a great conference. I think it's the bracket was just kind of set up well for those two teams.
And I'll say USC did beat Oregon on February 22nd in the regular season by 14.
Okay. And just looking at what USC did in their first two games, they won. I mean, they destroyed Kansas. And I'd say the Big 12 is, even though the Big 12 was down this year, I still think the Big 12 is better than the Pac-12. I'm going to pick USC beating Oregon here if we're re-picking and going on.
We should, we'll re-pick here. That was kind of the idea that I had, was to re-pick based on, you know, because I filled out some of these brackets and that's kind of what I was thinking. And I agree with you, USC. They looked dominant. They've already played and beaten Oregon this year. And just the way that they played. And I understand it's a different team and, you know, there's familiarity there, but they just looked dominant. I think they're going to beat Oregon.
All right. So next, we'll go to that bottom part of that Sweet 16. We have Michigan versus Florida State. This is the one matchup we had right.
Yeah. Absolutely right. Yeah, all right. Woo, we got one.
Right. We did pick Michigan last week when we did this. I'm not going off of that. Michigan does look really good right now. And you know, Florida State did look good. I mean, they squeaked through it against UNC Greensboro. But here's the thing: UNC Greensboro is a good program. They're in the tournament a lot.
They are, yeah.
It's not like it's a shock and awe thing for them,
right?
But then Florida State just thumped Colorado, just thumped them.
Yeah. I love this matchup. I mean, this is probably one of the best ones of the weekend, honestly.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think, and I really think whoever wins this game will go to the Final Four.
Whoever comes, I agree with you. Whoever's out of this one will be in the Final Four.
And I know Alabama's good, but I don't think they're as good as Michigan and Florida State. I just don't.
Right. And won't be as tested either. I mean, we'll talk about them playing UCLA, but I just don't feel like so far in the tournament they've been as tested as these teams will be. Michigan and LSU was an amazing game. I watched the majority of that. LSU played lights out, but Michigan played just that much better to win that game. So, yeah. I agree with you. I think Michigan wins, but this is one of those that's going to be an amazing matchup. Great game.
Right.
So,
all right. So going to that next matchup here, the other side of that, our Texas kind of bent over the table on this, but UCLA versus Alabama. I mean, let's be honest. UCLA, they got to play BYU, beat them by 11. That's not very impressive. And then you got to play a 14 seed, Abilene Christian, who I think was riding high and just got pounded. Alabama crushed Iona, crushed Maryland. I mean, I think Alabama's going to win this game.
I agree. Yeah.
You know, we did have them getting this far, but against Texas and Texas winning. But I think it's going to end up being Michigan versus Alabama. In that I guess whatever you want to call regional final or whatever,
the elite,
whatever you want to call it.
We'll just call it that. I mean, I like what the program is turned into for UCLA with Mick Cronin being a coach now, formerly of Cincinnati, and now kind of bring UCLA back. And hopefully they, it's a basketball school. I mean, yes, their football program is good, but really this is the school of John Wooden. So, yeah, I mean, I like what they're doing, but they're not there yet. So Alabama wins.
Right. So moving on to the top, the South region here, Baylor versus Villanova. I guess the question here, Lone Wolf, is does Villanova have a chance?
Yeah, I think they have a chance, but just because they're well coached. But let's just face it. I don't know if you're of this opinion. After watching the tournament for the first two games, sessions here, are there two teams that are better than Baylor and Gonzaga in the tournament?
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. So Baylor wins. I mean,
and we had Baylor advancing. So
right. And I was wrong. I mean, they are better defensively than I was giving them credit for, and they showed it in the two games that they played.
Yeah. I thought if Wisconsin could have gotten the same offensive output that they did against North Carolina, they had a chance. And I mean, They only lost to Baylor by 13. That's pretty good.
Yeah, they held it together. It's just they couldn't keep up with Baylor's offense. And they had a lot of chances. I mean, they played well. But...
And that just says how good Baylor is right there.
Right.
So, and really, Villanova has not been tested. They beat Winthrop and beat North Texas. So
it's a good program, and obviously they're it's a good coach. They've got some national titles under their belt, but they're just not quite as good this year. Yeah. Yep.
All right, moving on to the other semifinal of the South region. You have Arkansas versus Oral Roberts.
Yep.
Convince me that I should pick Oral Roberts here, Lone Wolf. Convince me.
It's so hard. It's so hard to do. I mean,
I'm gonna tell you. If you say Oral Roberts has a really good shot winning, I'm picking Oral Roberts because
I've never seen a 15 seed make it past this point.
Either have I, but there's a first time for everything.
There is. I don't think that this is the time. Oral Roberts has played well, and they've got a bona fide star on their team, but this is one of those that I'm not high on Arkansas, but usually the 15 seed runs out of steam at this point. They're just not talented enough. Arkansas has already won a couple of games. They're mentally and physically prepared for these guys to walk in, and I just think the dream run ends here.
I agree. I hope Oral Roberts wins, but we're picking games on who we think is going to advance, not what we would like
what we
to see.
Hope. Right.
Because if we had if we wanted to see this, we would see the Wisconsin Badgers in the national championship game.
Right. I mean, that's what we really hope. Yeah. So
let's be honest, it's not how we're picking. So yes, I agree. Can it happen? Yes. I think if depending on how they responded this week with these are two huge wins. You didn't you beat Ohio State, which was one of the top 8 teams in the country.
Right.
And then you beat Florida.
And they're no slouch. That was a hard game.
Right. Those are huge wins.
Right.
Can you physically and mentally get back up for this? And everyone's like, well, Sweet 16. I get that.
Yeah.
These are young men.
Right. And there's time off in between. Before it's kind of like you win and you ride the momentum because you only have a day in between. So then you're really riding that momentum high. You come in, you say, hey, we beat Ohio State, we can beat anybody, and you beat Florida. Now there's time off. So now you start thinking about it and wondering about it and, can we do this and blah, blah, blah. I'll say this. The door to me is open more for them to win than it would be in other situations because Arkansas hasn't been in this situation for a while.
Right.
I like the coach. He was Nevada's coach before. He's made some tournament runs. So I think he'll have his team ready, but it'll probably be closer than it should be because I don't have a huge amount of confidence in Arkansas.
Right. So we are going with Arkansas there, going down to the Midwest semifinals. We have Loyola Chicago versus Oregon State. And believe it or not here, Lone Wolf, Loyola Chicago, technically the favorite here because they're the 8, Oregon State's the 12.
12, yeah.
And Loyola Chicago get back to the Elite 8.
Absolutely. I wanted to say when we talked about this game with Illinois, we were thinking about it. We were close to pulling the trigger.
Yep. We were close. We were close.
I'm not going to doubt them in this game. Oregon State, obviously they had the upset and they're playing well, but this team, Loyola, it feels like they're riding it again, and they're not going to be afraid of the moment. They've been here before. Same coach, a few of the same players. I'd say Loyola.
Yeah, and I like what they're doing. I'm trying to just quick pull them up here because I want to get his name right. Come on here.
What are you who are you looking for?
I gotta see a picture of him. I don't know what his name is. The big guy that they got there is
Oh! I thought you were because Porter Moser is the coach. I didn't know if that's what.
No.
Okay.
No, I'll find it here. But anyways, yeah, I really like what they are doing. They just play. They play solid basketball. They and that I think can get lost so easily. By people is that they don't get that. They don't get that. It's not about just scoring a ton of points.
Yeah, you have to play good team basketball at this point. You really do. And I think that's what they're doing well. And they did that the last time too. And some teams may have more talent, but they may not be playing well as a team. And in college basketball, especially with guys leaving early to the NBA and stuff, you have to play well as a team in the tournament. Otherwise, you're just not going to advance. It's hard to ride the superstar unless you have a bona fide superstar to pull it off.
Right.
Like Steph Curry or something, and teams usually just don't have that anymore.
Right. And that's what that's what happens with, like the Badgers. They don't have those studs, but they're a consistent program year in, year out because they develop, their players and they play together as a team. I'm not sure who it is, but the guy's number is 25. And I mean, you just look at him, he doesn't look like he is a Division I basketball player. He just looks like he's out playing ball in the yard with his buddies. And it's one of those dudes that you'd be like, yeah, I'm picking him last. But he just goes and plays really, really well for them. I'm sorry, I don't know their.
I'm looking through their roster as we're talking about it. Just trying to see which number. Yeah,
25.
Okay.
It's just one of those guys.
Right. And yet he does well. And I think part of it has to be with, the way that they're coached and the way that the team, prepares and everything. And it's like, clearly they do, he's fashioned this team into one that can succeed in the tournament.
Right.
So,
and how can you go against this? Okay, I'm just gonna play this while you look through the roster. How can you root against this?
Sometimes we play a better game when the school is a real challenge to us. I tell them never to play down to a team. Sometimes it's very easy to do that. The bracketologists watch the games endlessly and they watch the plays, but they really don't know the team. I said, I know my team. So I think that's why I put such faith and trust in them and what they're capable of doing.
It's hard to root against Sister Jean, that's for sure.
Either, so don't worry.
How can you root against Sister Jean?
That's right.
How?
Yeah.
How can you root against Sister Jean? So
and she knows. I mean, she knows basketball pretty well. She's given a good speech there. I mean, that's inspirational for those kids, definitely.
So, anyways, I think we're in agreement. We're gonna pick Loyola Chicago to go beat Oregon State and go to the Elite Eight. Because let's be honest, Oregon State, they beat Tennessee. Yeah, you beat Tennessee.
Right.
But a 12-5 upset is kind of like you'd expect it.
It's not that big of a deal anymore. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
And then Oklahoma State, let's be honest, the Big 12 is so down right now.
I think people talked up Oklahoma State because they got a good freshman on their team.
Right.
But they really weren't that amazing. So
Loyola Chicago going to the 8. Then you go down to the bottom of that with the other semifinal. You have Syracuse versus Houston. Now, we were both dogging Houston.
We were, yeah.
And they came out in the first round and just crushed Cleveland State, which isn't a surprise. If you're a good team, you should. And then you almost lose to Rutgers.
Yeah, they squeaked by on that one. Squeaked by.
And then you go look at Syracuse. You crush San Diego State, who we had in the Elite Eight.
Right. I was so surprised by that. San Diego State got dominated by Syracuse.
And then you get by West Virginia by 3, but we had West Virginia.
Well, I think we had them losing to San Diego
State. Yeah. But I thought that would be a good game.
Right. I don't know. Syracuse is playing some good ball.
Right? I know. I'm tempted to say I want to go with Syracuse here.
I'm kind of tempted to do that too.
You have honestly, a proven coach in Jim Boeheim.
Right.
I just
I'm kind of leaning that way myself.
I like Syracuse here.
Yeah, and you're looking at a Houston team with Kelvin Sampson. He's been coaching for a long time. He's been with other teams, Oklahoma and such. But I like Syracuse better. The way that they're playing right now. And this creates such an interesting matchup that I'd be very much wanting to see if Syracuse were to win. So I say Syracuse. I agree.
All right, so we have our Elite Eight set. Yep. Obviously, we have to pick it down to the Final Four. Yep. So we'd have Gonzaga versus USC. I think there's not much discussion here. We have Gonzaga as our national champion. Gonzaga is going to win this. Go to the Final Four. This is a no-brainer. If you did not pick Gonzaga that will go to the Final Four out of that region, you must have been on something.
Right. Or one of your schools is in there that you went to or something, and you're just like, okay, I got to pick them, whatever. Right. I don't know. But yeah, Gonzaga.
All right, going down to the east end, we'll have Michigan versus Alabama, which is technically an intriguing matchup. You got the 1 versus 2.
Right.
I really like the way Michigan's playing.
Yeah, me too.
And I would say, again, I think the winner of the Michigan-Florida State game is going to the Final Four. I like those two teams better than either UCLA or Alabama.
Yeah, and I think this is, and we talked about it, but I think that's the best matchup of the first set of these games. And if Michigan beats Florida State, then they're going to get by Alabama.
Yeah.
Period.
So we're gonna have Michigan versus Gonzaga. So no surprise, 1-1. We stay chalk on that.
Yep.
Going back up to the south, we have Baylor versus Arkansas. I think our last comments about Baylor kind of says it all there too. If you'd had Baylor in the Final Four, you were kind of on something here. Unless you have something else to add there, Lone Wolf.
No, I mean, I think Arkansas is one of those teams that could be in the Final Four if the program has gotten better, but I don't think it's this year. Baylor, I don't even know if this is going to be a close game. I think Baylor, the way that they played against the teams they've played so far, and if they get by Villanova, they're going to beat Arkansas by double digits.
I think Baylor and Gonzaga are on a mission.
Yeah.
That's what it looks like.
It feels that way right now.
They are on a mission. They're not here to win games. They're taking numbers and kicking ass.
Yeah.
Right now.
They're playing really good basketball.
They are not leaving any doubt that they are the two best teams in the country.
Right.
So
then it leaves us with the super intriguing matchup in the last
Loyola Chicago versus Syracuse. Man, this would be a great matchup.
I love it. Yeah,
it's sad to say that one of the teams has to go home.
Right. It's just the nature of the tournament, though. So
right, you got Jim Boeheim, who's a great coach, but Loyola Chicago, it's not like this current core hasn't, and team and coach hasn't been in this situation before now.
Right.
You know what? I'm gonna say it, and I don't know what your feeling is. I feel that if it is Loyola Chicago versus Syracuse, I think Loyola Chicago goes to the Final Four.
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm riding the Loyola Chicago train. I'm feeling like and look, Syracuse has been playing really good basketball. Yeah. I just don't think that we dogged Houston a lot, and there's a lot of reason for that. And I think that if Syracuse beats them, it doesn't feel like they beat someone who would be dominant. I don't know. It just doesn't feel the same. So, I mean, they play Loyola Chicago, who they beat one of the teams that people put in the Final Four of the championship game.
Right.
They had winning the whole thing. In Illinois. And so, I mean, and they didn't just beat – I mean, they beat them handily.
Let's get that right. They didn't just beat them on like Abilene Christian beat Texas.
Right.
They handled Illinois.
Yeah, they really did.
Handled them.
That was a good win. So I don't know. I'm feeling the same way. I feel Loyola Chicago will win and be in the Final Four.
All right, and look, we're gonna stop there because we have next week's show to pick the national championship.
Yep.
So
those are our second chance Final Four picks.
Those are our second chance Final Four picks. We only got 50% right on our initial.
Yeah.
So there you have it, everybody. We have Gonzaga, Michigan, Baylor, and Loyola Chicago advancing to the Final Four in our second chance tournament bracket.
Hopefully that turns out a little better for us.
God, it can't get much worse.
No.
So we'll see here. But I'm filling in our picks right now here, Lone Wolf.
Okay. All right.
Let's see here.
Oh, you're doing the second chance one, you mean?
Second chance. And I don't think our championship game is still intact.
It is.
And so that I don't think really would change too much. Now it could change if our teams don't make it to the Final Four.
Sure.
But,
it's hard to see that otherwise based on how these teams have been playing so far right now with Baylor and Gonzaga.
Yeah, I mean, I love Loyola Chicago, but let's be honest, I don't think.
Once you hit the Final Four, yeah, it's a different ball game. I mean, you win a region everybody's playing good at that point. There's nobody that's playing bad basketball because you had to beat a bunch of good teams to get there. So
Right. So all right. So our second chance bracket has been submitted. We'll
awesome.
see. We'll
See how that
see.
goes. Yeah.
All right. So moving on here off of NCAA tournament talk. Well, off NCAA tournament talk. But we'll stick with college basketball.
Yeah.
Shaka Smart leaving Texas. You would think, okay, he's going to Duke or North Carolina, a big time program, because Texas is a great program.
Yeah.
Going to the Marquette Golden Eagles, coming home to Wisconsin. And there's been some unrest between him and Texas administration the last couple of years, anyways.
Right.
But it's kind of weird timing because there wasn't like any rumors that he was going to be fired or this and that. But intriguing that he was rumored to be possibly taking over for Bull Ryan.
Yeah.
And then he took the Texas job. This could lead a path for Shaka Smart to become the Wisconsin basketball coach.
Yeah, I think.
What are your thoughts on that, Lone Wolf?
I would love it because, Greg Gard has done an okay job. And I think Bo Ryan kind of paved the way for some of those guys to be able to become coaches there. But I like Shaka Smart as a coach. It feels like Texas was not the right fit. It didn't work out there. And I just, like you said, there was some issues with the administration. It just wasn't quite the right situation for him. I would love it if he were the Badgers basketball coach. I would absolutely love it. Now, that kind of depends. Does Marquette sink its claws in, and does he have some success at Marquette? And if he does, they're probably not going to let him go or want him to leave too.
Well,
so
no details have come up with like a contract or anything like that. But I'll tell you right now, he's going to have a clause in there that if he can go to a Power 5 conference, that he can go. There's no way he's going to sign a contract that ties him to Marquette for the rest of his career.
No, obviously
there's no way.
Yeah.
I think that his thought process is this, Lone Wolf, and I was really hoping that they would go get him when he was having that run at DCU. I said it then. I was like, this guy, you need to bring him home.
Right.
Because, again, like you said, Greg Gard's done a good job, a good job.
Yeah.
But that program has slid back from when Bo Ryan was there.
Absolutely, it has. Yeah.
He's lost some recruits that I think Bo Ryan normally would get. And I tell you right now, I think if Shaka Smart comes in and solidifies his recruiting in state and gets those kids to go to Marquette.
Yeah, then Wisconsin's going to dip even more, and they're going to see that there's a problem. And, yeah.
And Greg Gard will be fired, and because and this is how it's gonna. Then this is how it'll go down. Because I'll tell you what, whether you like Barry Alvarez or not, he's a smart guy.
He is.
I've had chances to meet him a few times just through coaching and being down at state and things like that. I'll tell you right now, he has it in his mind who the next basketball coach is going to be already. And if he sees Shaka Smart taking guys that he feels should be at Wisconsin, he's going to have a deal set with Shaka Smart to become the head basketball coach at Wisconsin before he even fires Greg Gard.
Well, and here's the thing, and we're Wisconsin guys, so we talk about this a little bit. When Wisconsin took Dick Bennett and made him their head coach, Wisconsin said, and they didn't say this, but this is what they were doing. We want recruits in Wisconsin to stay in Wisconsin, and we also want to get recruits from out of state. But they wanted to solidify their own state first to get some of the top recruits. And that's what Dick Bennett did. He changed the Badger program, and then it became that way. And then you had other guys who were Wisconsin guys, like Bo Ryan, who had coached at Platteville for so long. And so they ended up getting the cream of the crop. Well, you're right. Now Greg Gard isn't really doing that as much, and they're losing some people. And if they see that decline even more with Shaka's presence in Wisconsin, I agree that definitely have to think about making a change and want to bring a guy like him in to be the Badger coach instead.
Right, exactly. And I think this is gonna reset basketball in the state of Wisconsin for the next, 4 or 5 seasons, at least. Now if Shocker goes to Marquette and just tanks it, then no, he won't. They'll stick with Greg Gard, but I don't see that happening. I think he's going to turn Marquette into, a power in that conference again, and kind of do what he did with VCU. And that's going to happen. And again, he's still a young guy.
He's only 44.
For a coach, he's our age. You're young, as a coach. Nowadays people, I can speak from experience. We coach until we basically can't do it anymore.
Right. Yeah.
So I think he's setting himself up. I think he knows he wants to eventually be at Wisconsin. And I think he saw this as a step, get in state, prove that he is going to be the top recruiter in the state, and then go and take that Wisconsin job.
Yeah.
So
because Marquette, don't get me wrong, it's a good program, and it's had some success, and it's had some guys like Dwayne Wade, and it's a good program. But I think Wisconsin has become the crown jewel is you want the Badger job if you're a coach in Wisconsin. And then you want to turn that, because let's face it, like you said, it's a Power 5 job. You're in the Big Ten, you play the big boys, and you have a shot at being on the national stage a lot more.
Right.
And you get that media coverage, and you can beat the good basketball programs of the country if you're in that position.
So that was a very, very interesting story. The breaking there. I read that right before we came on there. I read that. I was like, oh,
yeah, it just came out an hour or 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago, something like that.
It's a very, 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 very fresh story. So, I was like, holy cow.
He was born in Madison, so
Right. That's why I say this is all a step so he can eventually become the head coach of the Wisconsin Badgers. And if anybody thinks that he would pass that job up now, they're insane.
I agree. That would be nuts. If the Badgers come calling, he'll take the job.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
All right. Moving to the NFL. Let's get this out of the way first before we talk about the NFL draft, which
it's insane, man.
The rumors that the mainstream sports media are, oh my Lord, that Aaron Rodgers is in his final year of being a Green Bay Packer. What are your thoughts on this, Lone Wolf? Every time I go to an NFL page, so and so thinks says Rodgers will not be a Packer after 2021.
I'm frankly just sick and tired of it. Absolutely sick and tired of it. And I texted you about that earlier this week that, Kyle Brandt was saying, Aaron Rodgers can retire, blah, blah, blah. And he's not the only one.
If he retires, it's one thing. Rob Nikovich of the Patriots came out and said, "Oh, he's going to be on another team next year."
Yeah. I honestly,
he's under contract, people. He's under contract.
Yeah. So the only way he could be is two ways. One, the Packers trade him, or two, the Packers cut him.
And they're not cutting him.
Yeah. Because that would be ridiculous for a team to do something like that.
You know, and if they're going to trade him, they're going to want at least 3 first-round draft picks, even
Right.
at this age.
And they unequivocally quashed that rumor earlier this year, as we talked about. I don't understand this mentality, this talk about this stuff. They just keep going on about it. Like they almost want him out of Green Bay because they don't like him being in Green Bay or something. I just, the national media just bothers me when it comes to Green Bay.
Why? I think it's funny because after, as soon as they lost, there's the week or so where it was like blah blah blah. Then the Packers came out and said no, he is our quarterback. Then Rodgers came out and said, you know what, I clarified his comments.
Yeah.
And it went away. Then all of a sudden, the report came out that the Packers had not done anything with Rodgers' contract to save salary cap space.
Mm-hmm.
And then all of a sudden, this stuff all starts up again.
Right. And all of a sudden, it's like, oh, is he going to retire? Why would he retire?
Do you people understand the reason they probably didn't touch the contract was they're probably working on an extension?
Yeah.
Because here's the thing, if you restructure the contract, why would then you go and do an extension when then you'd have to rework the contract again a second time? When you could just do the rework in the extension.
Right. Yeah, I don't know why this becomes such a prevalent story. I don't know why people keep talking about this being a possibility. Like to me, there's no story here. Rodgers is not retiring. He's not. He had an MVP season. He's not retiring. He's at the height of his powers. Why would he do that?
But like I said last year, I really think if Green Bay would win a Super Bowl, he would retire. I think that's the only way he would retire. He wants a second.
It makes sense. Go out on top. Yeah, I get
but
it.
Whether it's with Green Bay or another team, he wants a second Super Bowl to solidify his legacy.
Right.
He needs 2 rings, which is fine. I totally get that.
Yeah, sure.
But these talking heads, and this is the frustrating thing with everybody that listens to this stuff. We do this for the enjoyment of it. We get no money out of this. We have no sponsors. We use free services, and we talk more clearly than some of these talking heads that get paid a ton of money to formulate a stupid opinion and then not think before they talk.
And they just spurt it out, and you know what? It feels like there's no consequences for them to just say that kind of stuff too, and this is your job. I mean, take some pride in that and try to be factual about it. I mean, there's really no basis, it seems like, for them to say something like this.
Give me some facts on why Rodgers would be on a different team next year. Or some evidence that points to the direction that Green Bay, because they drafted Jordan Love? That's over a year ago now, people. That's a year ago. Let's move on from this thing.
Right. And how much did Jordan Love play last year?
Right. He wasn't even the backup quarterback. Oh, you know what? They let Boyles go, so now Jordan's gonna be the backup quarterback. Better watch out.
So here we go. I mean, he's gonna start replacing Rodgers. What franchise takes a quarterback who plays so successfully that he's the MVP of the league, by the way, and benches him in favor of someone else? Who does that? Even the bad franchises don't do that.
It's so absolutely ridiculous. I just don't get it. But I wanted to talk about it because I am so tired of reading the headlines. I don't even read the stories anymore. I see the headline, I see who the person is that said it, and I'm just like, are you freaking kidding me? If I wasn't so against Twitter, I'd go on Twitter and just troll them because I can't stand it.
It's tiring, actually, yeah. And the fact that it resurfaced as a story is tiring.
But what is this parallel to, Lone Wolf? What does this remind you of?
I'm trying to think. So I mean,
Another
there's a lot of
really successful quarterback from the Green Bay Packers.
Oh, you mean you're talking like Favre and
Brett Favre.
Rodgers and
This is the same thing when Brett Favre got, and there was like 3-4 years at the Favre this, Favre that, blah blah blah, and then Favre finally came out and said, "I'm retiring."
Yeah.
And Green Bay's like, "Okay, fine, all right, great, okay, we'll move forward." And then also, "No, I'm not retiring."
Yeah.
So and then Favre kind of messed that up, but it was the same thing with Favre.
But to be fair, I think Favre
gave a little more indication that he might retire.
Yeah, he talked a little bit more than Rodgers did about that sort of thing.
But this
maybe he added a little bit of fuel.
But it's just ridiculous.
It was out of control. I mean, yeah, it was definitely out of control. And here, this is just ridiculous. There's absolutely no indication the guy's leaving. If you're gonna have a story about somebody retiring, talk about it as in you think that this is actually true because you heard from reliable sources that that's the case. I mean, there's no reporting anymore. You don't have to get a reliable source.
Well, come on, we can go even just in the entire world. People don't actually get facts when they throw out a story. Come on.
Yeah, you can just say whatever you want, and then it's fine.
Well, if we could sit there and say, guess what? We're having a new form of government starting tomorrow, and people believe it.
Yeah, that's true.
We don't need
dictatorship now. Guess what?
Facts. Come on.
Yeah.
We're claiming ourselves kings, new royal family of the United States.
We just did. Just now. Yep.
So the nation.
Aaron Rodgers is going to retire and become our prime minister.
We are going to be called the nation of smack.
And there you go.
Wow. Taking over the state of Wisconsin. We are now the nation of smack. So. All right, we're way off base here.
We're way off target there with
anyway.
Hey, we're talking politics, so
we could go on and on about this stuff.
That's true. Yeah.
Because we aren't going. We're not a political show. We're a sports show. So
we'll turn it back and we'll talk about some of these other crazy things that happened in the NFL today.
We'll get back in the right lane of traffic here before we hit something head on here. So anyway, technically two trades here.
Yes.
Which I think is going to be
this is insane.
Changes a lot. And kind of gives a clarity for some franchises. So the first thing is you have the Miami Dolphins making a trade with the 49ers.
And the Dolphins are at the forefront of both of these.
Right, exactly. So the Dolphins are sending the number 3 pick to the 49ers for the 12th pick. But they're also getting – so the 49ers get the 3 pick. That's it.
Yes.
They're getting the number 3 overall pick. Miami gets the number 12, got the number 12 pick from the 49ers.
Yep.
A first rounder next year for the 49ers.
And in 23.
And in 2023. So technically 3 first round draft picks and a third round pick next year.
Right.
For the number 3.
Actually, a third round pick this year in 2021.
Oh, yeah. So 2 third round picks. So they get a third next year, too.
No, they get 2 first rounders, the 12, and then the third round pick. That's it. Not 2 third rounders.
That's not what I'm seeing here.
Okay. All right. Well, I thought it was.
So this is the breakdown on the chart that I'm looking at. It says 2 Miami, the number 6 pick, and then number 156. Okay. All right. Hold on.
Yeah.
Hold on here. Okay. Again, this is where it gets convoluted because there's 2 trades here.
Right.
So the 49ers gave the Dolphins the a first rounder. They swapped first round picks this year.
Yep.
They got the 49ers first round pick next year and in 2023, and the 49ers third round pick in 2022. The Dolphins then turn around and trade the number 12 pick to the Eagles for the number 6 pick and number 156. And then the Eagles, in return, also got pick number 123 from the Dolphins and the Dolphins' first round pick next year.
Right. This is nuts. Yeah, I'm trying to make sure I keep track of everything here because, yeah, the Eagles traded pick 6 and 156 to the Dolphins in exchange for 12, 123, and a 2022 first round
pick. So,
yeah.
So that definitely it's intriguing because what that says is this: the 49ers are no longer in the win now mode.
No, they are not. This is clearly not that. Yeah.
Because what you're saying is we're taking a quarterback here, which is probably going to be either Wilson from BYU or Justin Fields.
Right.
Right.
Because all indications, I mean, the Jets, I don't know that they're going to take a quarterback at their position.
Well,
I mean, they think the Jaguars are definitely going to take a quarterback.
I think the Jets still may.
They might. They might.
There are reports that they had a pro day with Wilson, and they were really impressed. But I think one of two things that happen: the 49ers are either going to take a quarterback, or they're going to try to package this number 3 pick to get Deshaun Watson. Now, I don't know what else you're going to be able to offer Houston anymore because you traded all your current first round picks to the Dolphins.
Well, but do you not think that Deshaun Watson might be on the cheap in comparison to before because of all the things that have come out about him and all of these accusations that he's had? Because before, I think it was super expensive, and now
I don't think so. I don't think why. Houston has no reason to come off of any demands that they would make for him. These are allegations. They're not criminal charges. It's all civil suits.
No, I understand that.
I doubt he's going to get suspended because, again, unless the NFL does the investigation and finds that the stuff actually happened, he's not going to get suspended.
I think it's going to be worse than that. I think it's going to be something where, this starts to balloon a little bit and it's going to be more impactful. Because as soon as you have a couple people come out, it's going to be like, oh, well, he did this to me and me and me and me. So,
I'm going to play devil's advocate here, and I am going to say nothing's going to happen with this.
Okay. All right.
I
take two different views on it. Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of, and again, I'm not saying that victims are, that they should not be protected and whatnot. That's that all of a sudden all these massage parlors around Houston, Texas came out to say all this stuff about him.
Yeah.
After he comes out and says he's unhappy and doesn't want to be there. Just saying. I'm just saying. I'm playing devil's advocate here.
No, I hear you. I hear you.
It's interesting because it almost makes it's almost kind of making teams want to shy away from trying to get him now. So he's stuck.
Yeah.
Just again, play devil's advocate. I'm not saying.
I hear you. Yeah.
If there's evidence that it happened, great. Right now, we have affidavits saying that he acted inappropriately in a sexual manner. Well, what sexual manner? Obviously, it wasn't rape or anything like that, because otherwise it'd be a criminal offense.
Otherwise, you would already be out, and that would be the case.
Right.
Yeah.
These are civil suits that were filed. Well, there needs to be more than just an affidavit. I can go find an affidavit saying somebody
did something
sexually inappropriate towards me, but I have to have evidence to get a conviction and get.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. I just think it's going to be worse than it is right now, because I feel like it's going to start to balloon a little bit, and there's going to be more of this, and maybe it'll be there won't be any foundation to it. I don't know, but we'll I guess we'll see. We disagree, and so we'll see what happens with it. Either way, the problem is that Houston's still, they may say that there's a high price for him, but teams are they going to be as willing to pay, or what? And in San Francisco's case, like you said, what else can they offer? Jimmy Garoppolo.
Well, yeah, you're not getting anybody to take him. To be honest, he's not that good. But again, I really think teams are still going to want him. He's still an elite quarterback. Even if this stuff comes out, he'll get suspended for 6 games.
Right. Yeah.
Okay. Whoop-de-doo.
But I think Houston's going to have to be more realistic about their price. Otherwise, they're never going to be able to move him.
But they don't. They don't. They've come out and said they don't want to move him. He wants to be moved.
Well, I get that.
So why?
So as a team, you want to let him just sit. He already said he's going to sit out the whole season. He doesn't care.
But I'm looking at it from Houston's perspective.
Sure.
Not from a fan's perspective. I'm looking from the team's perspective. Fine, sit. Guess what? Sit. Your contract won't count. You're still under contract.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going to stink whether we have you or we don't have you.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So
it's just a messy situation, but yeah, I hear what you're saying.
He's going to hurt himself, especially if these allegations do come out and there is proof that this stuff did actually happen.
Right.
And then he says, "I'm going to sit out."
Yeah.
That's only going to hurt. That's only going to hurt Deshaun Watson, and it's going to strengthen the Houston Texans' position.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because it's him individually. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So okay, sit. I get he's unhappy, and I would hope that Houston would, try to repair some of their image with not their fans, but with their players.
Yeah, because they haven't done a good job with that at all.
But I don't think they will, and that's why I'm saying if I'm looking at it from Houston's perspective, they're going to say, no, this is what we want. This is what he's worth. We don't care about what this stuff's coming out as. It hasn't been proven yet. These are all allegations.
Well, I know it hasn't been proven yet.
Right. I don't want to go back into that. I'm just saying this is what Houston's thought process is. They're all allegations. We're not going to trade him unless we get what we want for him. Even if he sits, okay, fine. He's still under contract with us for whatever the remaining contract he has. We're still in the same boat, whether he sits, if we keep him and he sits, or we trade him for draft picks. We're still in the same situation. Because guess what? Next year, he's still going to be worth what we want. And he's going to be a year older. So if we do need to take less, he's still a year older now.
Yeah.
And didn't play for a year, and plus is dealing with all this off the field stuff. The Houston Texans have total control right now.
Well, yeah, I mean, I know what you're saying there, I guess. But from their perspective, as a franchise, you can sit there and say all of that and not do anything about it. But as a franchise, you're going to come under a lot of intense criticism because you're not putting a winning product on the field. Now, you might say next year, okay, we're going to stink.
But anyway. They could. I'll tell you what they could. They did sign Tyrod Taylor, who's an okay quarterback.
Yeah, he's okay, but their defense sucks, and I just don't feel like they're going to be very good.
Well, neither do I. But here's the thing: we don't know. That division could stink.
I don't think so. Not with Tennessee and
you need to play the Jaguars twice.
You do, and they're not any good. I get it, but And Tennessee, they
You
may
can
or may
play
not
the
be as
Colts,
good.
who
But
now have Carson Wentz, who you don't know what you're getting.
true. I mean, it's the only
Who,
situation he could step into. He could be really good. He could be really bad.
who do you trust more quarterback, Tyrod Taylor or Carson Wentz? Who would you trust more? If you had to choose right now, who your starting quarterback is going to be?
I'll probably would take Carson Wentz only because he
No
has
way.
more potential to be better.
Potential doesn't win you football games.
No, it doesn't.
Potential. Tyrod Taylor has proven he can win football games on a consistent basis.
Yeah, and they have a great running game and offensive line. I hear you.
Okay, so all right.
I'd still take Wentz anyway.
So then you have the Titans, who their defense is not that good.
No.
Again,
honestly, I think the Titans are going to slide next year because they lost their offensive
well,
coordinator. Before people say that doesn't make a difference, it absolutely does.
I think the Colts are the clear-cut favorite in that division. Yeah. But what I'm saying is, because of the division they're in, the Texans aren't as far away as you think in the division. I'm not saying they're a good football team. Right. But I don't think that division, when you look at it, I don't see a Super Bowl team in that division.
I don't either.
I see one team making the playoffs in that division. Then that's the division champion. The Texans can compete in that division because 10 wins is going to win that division.
Sure, yeah.
I'm just saying.
They will not be like last year.
That's why I'm saying I think Houston holds all the chips right now. I could be wrong, and we'll see in a couple of weeks. But I don't think, unless a team comes in with 3 first-round draft picks, Deshaun Watson's not going anywhere. The 49ers, I'm not sure what they're thinking here.
I honestly don't know, and I really wanted to hear what you had to say about this because my feeling is, I mean, like you said, they're not in a win-now mode, and it looks like they're trying to go for a quarterback, but I don't know why they got the worst end of this deal. I mean, they're throwing away a bunch of draft picks to get the number 3. And they had the number 12 pick, and I guess maybe they're looking at it from the standpoint they've got their guy in mind, and that's what they want. But that's a lot of draft capital for that.
Because if you look at it, there's 3 quarterbacks that people are raving about.
Yes.
Right? Lawrence, Wilson, and Fields.
Yeah.
Okay, Jacksonville needs a quarterback. New York needs a quarterback.
Right.
Technically, I mean, I am okay. If I'm a Jets fan, I'm okay with Sam Darnold right now.
If the Jets were to draft an offensive lineman or a defensive lineman, a defensive stud or something, yeah.
Right, because with capable coaches, I think Sam Darnold could actually be a decent quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so we'll just say the Jets are in the quarterback market. So 2 out of the 3 are going to be gone. Yeah. Then you had who was at the number 3 initially? The Dolphins.
Yes.
Okay, the Dolphins were not in the market for a quarterback.
No.
Okay, they like Tua for some reason. Whatever. Atlanta, I don't think Atlanta's in the market for a quarterback. I think they're going to ride with Matt Ryan for the next couple of years, and maybe next year draft a quarterback. The Bengals aren't in the market for a quarterback.
No, they obviously
maybe.
Right.
Okay. Detroit, not in the market for a quarterback. You just trade for Jared Goff. You're not going to draft a quarterback. Carolina,
you don't believe in him.
Right. Carolina, possibly.
Sure, that's a possibility, yeah.
Denver, possibly.
For sure. I think not even possibly, just for sure.
But I don't know. I don't know if Denver would spend the number 9 pick at that point on a quarterback.
Well, it depends on who's there.
Right. But I just don't think that they would.
Yeah.
And then you have the Cowboys, who are not, the Giants, who are not. And then you would have picked at 12. You're telling me you couldn't just jump up to like the number 5?
I mean, they apparently didn't want to take their chances, and they just wanted to be up in the top of the draft to make sure they get whatever guy. But for the price that they paid,
Yeah,
it's really steep in my opinion. Really steep. And this does. I was thinking before we talked about this. Remember, John Lynch is the one who snuck this one by the foolish Bears when they jumped up one spot to draft Mitch Trubisky. And I thought, oh, John Lynch, he's such a fox. He just did this to them. Well, clearly the Bears, the GM, he's a complete moron, and he should have been fired last year. They can't even trade for Russell Wilson. They're trying to mortgage their team. But now John Lynch with this trade, I question what's the angle? What's the aim for them right now?
Right.
Just removed from the Super Bowl, and this makes them worse.
Well, exactly. What are you trying to get here? That's the question. What you need a quarterback.
Right.
You need a quarterback.
And if that's what you're trying to get,
but are you going to sit there and go with a rookie quarterback next year and tell your fans, hey, we're in it to win it right now?
Right, because I'm sorry to say, but this is true. They have an aging secondary, and their defense is not as good as it was before. Robert Saleh is gone.
Their defense is going to slide next year.
Yeah, absolutely. So your defense goes down. You probably are going to lose some people. You have kind of lost some people in their defense already. And you put a rookie quarterback in there, like you said, they're possibly the worst team in that division.
Oh, I think they are.
Yeah.
No, I think the Rams are a clear-cut favorite in that division now. And then you got I would put Arizona above Seattle.
Sure. Yeah, that maybe is a toss-up, but yeah, either way, yeah. But that leaves the 49ers on the bottom.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's interesting for the 49ers of what they are thinking in that position. If I'm the Jets, I'm still looking to trade out of that spot because it's kind of one of those situations where you have cap room.
You could pick a quarterback, but
you have cap room. You could easily get a free agent quarterback. If Sam Darnold doesn't work out, you could get a free agent quarterback next year to be a gap stop, draft a guy next year. Unless Jacksonville would take Justin Fields. Now, you're thinking, no way that's going to happen. Who recruited Justin Fields?
Right. Urban Meyer.
Hello. Let's think about this.
I mean, everybody is talking that Trevor Lawrence is a foregone conclusion, and Urban Meyer's going to pick him, and yeah.
What do a lot of college coaches that go to the NFL do?
Yeah,
they draft and sign guys that they coached in college.
Right, and let's be clear. We talked about this before. We said, when this came up, I said, why in the heck did Jacksonville hire the GM that they hired? He looks like a bozo. The guy's not having any success, and you said it. He's just basically there as a fill-in, and Urban Meyer is going to run the show.
Yep. Because here's the thing, and I texted you this earlier in the week. Yeah. Urban Meyer complained about the free agent signing process and wants a rule put in that free agents must meet face-to-face with the coaches of clubs before they sign.
Yeah.
Urban Meyer, this is not college. This is not recruiting.
No,
it's
not. This is
not how it's done, buddy. You can't sit there and say, we'll take good care of you here. You're paying the guy millions of dollars. He's going to be taken care of wherever he goes. Come on.
Right. Yeah.
You know these guys. You're trying to think that you're going to change somebody's opinion because you meet with them face-to-face just says you have such a big ego that you think that you are so great. Jacksonville, I'm sorry, you are going to be the worst team in the league for the next foreseeable future. And Urban Meyer is going to be an utter failure.
I love it. You have a lot of worst teams in the league. Detroit, Jacksonville.
No, there's some bad teams.
There's some really bad teams.
Oh, my Lord.
Jacksonville. It's kind of a toss-up, honestly.
Jacksonville's going to be brutal. Detroit is going to be brutal.
Awful.
Those two right off the top, those two are the only two that
honestly they're the worst. They're the worst
Oh my
franchises
Lord.
in the league right now. Honestly, yeah.
They can't get out of their way.
No.
I mean, you could have a monkey throwing a dart at a dartboard making draft picks and put better rosters together than those two franchises. I mean, seriously.
Right. Yeah.
It's horrible.
It's atrocious. Yeah.
But anyways, so I'm not sure what the 49ers are thinking. The Eagles now, on the other hand, the Eagles made out pretty good, I think.
Well, and this is interesting. So, I mean, you got the Miami side of this, and then you have the Eagles side of it. So, the Miami does this trade, and you're thinking to yourself, okay, they got the better end of the deal on the 49ers trade, right? Because they get all those picks. But then the Dolphins turn around and trade with the Eagles, and they do some swapping here. So, what's the thought process for them? And then, I mean, the Eagles, I think, for them, obviously, they wanted to get some picks, and they got some picks. They need to build, and they know they need to build, so that made sense.
Obviously, I think the Dolphins got a great deal from the 49ers. They essentially got 2 extra first-round draft picks. The third-round picks, they're nice, but those picks are probably going to get traded to move up on draft day, blah, 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 blah.
Sure.
They're probably not going to end up actually using those draft picks, and if they are, it'll be, they might find a steal, but who knows? It all depends on the selection process there. But then they turn around and think, okay, you have now, again, multiple first-round draft picks, multiple years in a row.
Mm-hmm.
But then you turn around and trade one of them.
Yep, the 6.
To move up 6 spots.
Yeah. You trade the 12 to get the 6.
And I don't get that. But they did.
I don't either.
But they didn't just trade. They didn't just swap. They gave up another. And it wasn't, they didn't give up the 49er first round draft pick. They gave up their own, which could be a better pick than the 49er pick.
Right. It's possible. Yeah.
Because I'm not told
a 2022 first round pick here.
Right.
And then they swapped the 156 and the 123, which, whatever. I mean, like
you
said, who knows what that'll turn out to be.
But so I think the Eagles got a better deal from the Dolphins.
I agree with you again. And to me, I look at this and I say to myself, okay, so now we've been talking about this with the 49ers. The Dolphins go from the 12 to the 6. So why? Who is it that the Dolphins are targeting that they want to get at 6 that they couldn't get at 12?
Well, and that's going to be the interesting thing. What are you looking to do in Miami? Obviously, you would have thought you stay where you're at, get one of those stud receivers that's in the draft. They may be thinking that that their guy's still going to be there at the 6.
Well, there's probably a higher likelihood of that at the 6 than there is at the 12. But I don't know. I don't know that they would necessarily lose out on that guy. But maybe that's what they were thinking when they looked at it. They thought, okay, these teams need receivers, and that's the route they're going to go. But I don't know. I mean, if you look at the teams, and we just talked about a bunch of these teams, who in that group needs a receiver? The Broncos drafted enough of them last year. The Falcons still have some receivers. I don't know if they draft another one. The Bengals could draft a receiver, but they really need to pick an offensive lineman because they drafted a quarterback.
At Purveyor, we're here for you, in person and online, always. We understand.
Here are 5 fast facts about North Dakota State.
All right. So,
sorry about that.
Sorry about that. So I'm just looking at, they already have an updated mock draft.
Yeah.
From Chad Reuter, He's pretty good at this stuff. I'll say that.
Oh yeah, I just saw that it's on my phone. I didn't take a look at
So
it,
so he has Trevor Lawrence 1, Zach Wilson 2, and that's kind of what I've said. I like Zach Wilson better than Trevor Lawrence. I think Zach Wilson, when looking at these quarterbacks, again, I'm never one to say I like first
I'll
round.
take a guy, right? Yeah,
I just don't. Yeah, I just don't. Unless he's like that much of a slam dunk, I don't think there's a slam dunk in this draft.
right.
I don't think there is. They have the 49ers, and this is surprising,
Yeah,
taking
Trey
Trey
Lance.
Lance from North
Yeah.
Dakota State.
Yeah, and he ran with Lance, and you know, I mean, that's huge to me. That's insane being that high. I don't know. I just don't see it.
He,
Don't see
he
it.
was
But
he's been projected as a late first round draft pick.
yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, that's really high to
Wow.
me. Yeah.
But then just going down, they have the Falcons taking a tight end at 4.
Right. Well, and that guy is a freak. So
I
I
get
honestly
that,
feel
but
like he's at 4 is high. I agree. I mean, I think he's a really good tight end, and he's going to be really good in the pros.
But then they have getting to the team where we started talking about the Miami Dolphins. They have the Miami Dolphins taking Jamar Chase, receiver from LSU. He did not play this past season
Right.
because of COVID. He opted out. He would have probably have been one of the best receivers in the country if he had played.
But this is what I love. Okay, coach, we're just talking. Who else is going to draft a receiver before 12 that Miami would have to be worried about? Now, I get it. This is a mock draft. But in this mock draft, no one else takes a receiver through the top 12.
Right. I agree. They have the Chargers taking Devonta Smith out of Alabama.
Right. At 13.
At 13. Yeah. And I don't even think Devonta Smith is the best receiver at Alabama.
No, I agree.
I think that's more of a pick because of what he did this season, which, that's great. Let's be honest, this college football season was a little different.
It was.
And you didn't have as great of defenses as you normally see. I'll tell you what, looking at this pick, if this holds true and the Patriots do this, they're getting a great pick at 15 at Jalen Waddle.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely. That's a great pick.
Yeah. If he falls to that spot, absolutely. Yeah.
It will get more into the draft here coming up because
right, but I think this bears talking about because of the switch of the picks and everything. And I mean, Miami got a steal out of San Francisco, and then you turn around and it feels like they got the worst end of the deal in the Philadelphia trade. Not as bad as the disparity on that 49ers trade, but still, it's a little hard to swallow why you're moving up from 12 to 6 in that situation.
Yeah, see, I don't agree with them here. They have the Packers trading up to the 21st pick to take a corner.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I don't think that's gonna happen. I think they know they need to get a playmaker
right.
on offense or a middle linebacker. I don't see them trading. I mean, they have them trading up all the way from what, the 28 or 29? Yeah, the 29th pick.
Yeah.
8 spots. I mean, you'd have to give up a lot to move up 8 spots in the first round.
Yeah, I mean that's a big difference there, and I don't see that.
I don't see Goodson doing that. I don't see it.
I mean, good corner and everything, but I don't see them moving in this particular situation at all. Yeah. And there's some good receivers in this draft, and I think they could definitely pick up a receiver in this draft. They talked about it last year, and everybody criticized them for not doing it, but Rodgers had an MVP season regardless. I think they will probably end up drafting somebody because
I mean,
some of their third, fourth receivers aren't guys that you trust.
right. And if you look at it, the Packers' offense is made pretty much going to be intact. Jamal Williams left. It's not a huge deal. You have AJ Dillon, who
Right, he's your second back.
showed he can definitely play. Obviously, you gotta replace Lindsley, which I think they have guys in the fold. That's why they were kind of like, you know what, let's get Jones re-signed.
Right.
We're okay in
And
the
they could
O-line.
bring in and they could get some more offensive
Right.
linemen in the draft. You got Runyon, you've got some other guys that
Yeah.
you're going to work on for offensive line.
But
So yeah,
they're bringing Tunyon back. They're bringing Adams back. They're bringing Jones back. I think they tenured Lazard. You brought Mercedes Lewis back.
yeah. For the most part, it's going to be intact. Yeah.
You have Devin Funchess coming in this season.
Right. There's another receiver. That's
You're
right.
going to be okay on offense, but I still think if they can find a way to get a dynamic playmaker, they should do it. I would love them to get a dynamic linebacker over a corner, but we'll see. I haven't really delved in too much into the draft yet because that's not where we're at. We'll definitely have to. We may have to find sometime here, Lone Wolf type of face to face, sit down and actually sift through this draft this year.
I think so. I think that'd be a good idea because
This could be a big one.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
anyways, back to the Dolphins. So again, I don't know what they're thinking.
Right.
I'm not sold on Tua.
Neither am I.
Again, good trade first.
Right.
Second trade, not so good.
Right.
Because I mean, now you look at the Eagles, they're getting a corner who I don't know anything about the guy off the top of my head. But they have so many holes on their roster that anything's going to be good for them. So
and they get 3 picks here, so they get the 12, the 123, and then a 2022 first rounder. So they're not going to be any good, and we know that. So then you look at it and you say, okay, they're going to have a high first round draft pick and another first round draft pick from this in 2022. So I think this is a long term view. You get
our next guest is the brains and the brawn of a future NFL.
Darn
NFL. You get the 123, you might find a nice player there, and then you get some good first rounders next year.
Right, exactly. So I think the Eagles know they're in rebuild mode.
Yeah.
They're stockpiling draft picks. They're going to get talent out into that building and just build it from ground up. Now, I'm not sold on their coach.
No.
But we'll see what happens there moving forward. But definitely gives you an idea of where teams are where they're trending towards. I know we were both like really high on where the Dolphins were going into this past season.
Mm-hmm.
But there really been some head scratchers since last year's draft.
Right.
I called Tua. I mean, I'm just going to say it. I said I don't believe he's that good.
Well, we both were on that train. I agree. Yeah.
And again, I don't feel he is going to be a great NFL quarterback.
Well, I agree with you, and you see that here, and he hasn't played that way. There's questions about him in the locker room. So yeah, I don't know about that. Now, I mean, some of it, the coach, and he's my guy. I defend him. He switched back and forth, over the course of the season, but I think he did an effective job of trying to win as many games as possible, and they did that. But these moves have nothing to do with him, and so that makes me question, what the GM is exactly aiming for in this situation. So,
right. So we'll see really what happens with the Dolphins. Again, a couple poor decisions in regards to your draft can set you back.
Yeah, they can.
Especially if you miss on a quarterback, that sets you back a good decade.
Yeah.
And I think they missed it with the Tua pick. I said it with the Joe Burrow pick, and people can say, "Oh, he's having a great year before he got hurt." Yeah, I still think Herbert, even if Burrow would have finished the season, I really think Herbert would have ended up having a better overall year.
Right, I agree.
I just think he would have. So,
and we'll talk more about the draft as this goes on, but I just had to laugh as we're talking about it when they predicted. He predicted in his mock that Chicago would take Mac Jones from Alabama at the quarterback position.
Right.
And I hope they do. I really hope they do, because then it'll be another miss and they'll be bad. And, the fans are just going to lose their minds in Chicago. They already are anyway, but still.
Yeah, Chicago's bad. Let's be honest. They are bad.
Anyway.
So I'm just kind of looking through the Packers free agency stuff. See if there's anything noteworthy there.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Not really. You got there's no real guys that are the only one that's a free agent that I think that I would like to see them bring back would be Lane Taylor.
Mm-hmm.
He's an unrestricted free agent. He's really the only one that I'd be like, yeah, let's try to get him back. But I think they'll be okay. And like I said, before we got into the draft talk, we really need to relax with the whole Aaron Rodgers stuff.
Yeah.
He's not going anywhere. I think if he had come out and tell the Packers, hey, I want to be on a different team, I think they would try to find a trade for him. Mm-hmm. I think they have enough respectability for their players to do that. I don't think it'd ever get to that. I think Rodgers is a different player. I think he wants to play his entire career in Green Bay, and they want him in Green Bay. I don't think they want it to end like Favre did.
Right.
And
no, they don't.
I think it's just a matter of time until an extension is worked out. And part of it is that if they had reworked the contract before, I think this weekend, it would have spread out the money. They would have saved some money on this year's salary cap, but it would have added more the next couple of years, which would have hindered them even more.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of taking dead hit money in the next couple of years, they're just taking it this year, and then they'll have more space next year, which makes sense because you're going to have Davante Adams and to sign, and they're probably going to sign him to an extension or franchise tag him. I would be shocked if they didn't franchise tag him.
I would be too.
And that's probably why they did not franchise tag Aaron Jones, because they wanted to make sure they had that available for Davante Adams.
Right. And I don't think they needed to, and we talked at length about this. If Aaron Jones walks and gets a lot more money from somebody else, then maybe Jamal doesn't leave and they keep him, and then they bring in another veteran at that spot and they move on and they'd be okay. But Aaron Jones, obviously resigns, doesn't go after the money and decides to stay.
Yeah, he took less money to come back to Green Bay because he said he wanted to finish what the Packers started this season and win a Super Bowl. So right there, that's good news. Because I'll tell you right now, no way Aaron Jones resigns if there's any indication that Aaron Rodgers is not going to be there.
Bingo. Yep. Yeah.
Why
Exactly.
would you resign? If you were going to re-sign with Jordan Love as your quarterback, would you resign in that situation?
No, you're not winning a Super Bowl.
You know you're heading to a rebuild.
Right.
So I want one of our shows to get out to these supposed professional sports writers.
Yeah.
Get your heads out of your rear ends. Aaron Rodgers is not going anywhere.
No, he's not.
He's not.
Staying in Green Bay, going to be there next year. Bottom line.
I think he has like 3 years left on his current contract.
He does, yeah. So again, like I said before, the only way he's leaving is if the Packers cut him or they trade him, and that's not going to happen.
They're not cutting him. So
no.
All right. Well, anyways, anything else, Lone Wolf? Because that was some long talk about the NFL draft. Again, we will talk more extensively.
Yeah, we'll get into that
more
more
about the draft as we move forward here. We're early in the draft process. We're getting pro days here right now, so
I think we're still a month out because I think it's at the end of April. So
and we'll. Like I said, we'll have to we'll get together and do our draft stuff and do what we did last year. We'll pick who we feel our first round draft picks are going to be, and
absolutely, yeah,
and see how we do. But and who knows? Maybe because I think isn't the first round on a Thursday night?
Let me see what day that is here.
Because last year we didn't really have our show time set. Now we're kind of set here.
It's the 22nd, right?
I don't know.
I think it is. If it is the 22nd is a Thursday.
So we could have a live.
Well, just like last time, we had it live because remember we're going through some of those picks as they were coming in. And the Jordan Love pick that happened. So
that's true. So we have a good time with NFL talk. So and maybe we'll try to get some guests in here that night. I know a couple of individuals that I talk to on a regular basis have expressed interest in coming on and joining us now and then. That are actually interested in getting their own podcast started. So it'd be a good experience for them. To
jump on and do it.
See how we do it. Not saying we're experts at this stuff, but hey,
we've been doing it for a while, so we got at least a little experience here. Yeah,
exactly. We're getting better.
We are.
We're getting better. So, anything else, Lone Wolf? Before we sign off here, we're getting on close to our time limit.
No, I think next week we'll get more into college basketball again, and then maybe we'll touch on the NBA and then some more NFL talk next week. But no, nothing else for tonight.
Yeah, and I think we initially were going to talk NBA, but with everything that came up here.
Yeah, these were the big news stories, and we needed to go over them for sure.
We needed to hit on these because let's be honest, it's still the NBA, it's still the regular season, and
yeah, they're 44, 45 games in or whatever. There's not
and it's still games to go. It's still the same teams at the top of the conferences, so not much has changed. So. All right, everybody. Thank you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed it. If you'd like to join us in the future, drop us a line in the chat and let us know what you'd like to talk about, so we know.
Specifically, like we've had some people on and they've said, this is what they want specifically to talk about.
We don't want
is
if we're talking NFL, we don't want somebody to all of a sudden come on and start talking NHL.
Right.
So anyways, thank you, everybody. Have a great week, and we will talk to you next week. And enjoy the nice weather if you're here in the Midwest. It's going to be nice this weekend.
Absolutely. All right. Have a good night.
I start, I don't stop. I just need one more person to hate me talk. two fingers. It serves. I'm a dirtbag, no good bastard. There's no more Mr. Nice Guy, so go ahead and get mad. I'll show you how easy I turn a tough guy to a dead man. I ain't your buddy. Haters are obsessed fans. If we were buddies, trust I'd crack a bud just like a red can. Bedpan full of piss and vinegar. Head scan said that I'm not crazy, but I'm similar. Let's dance, let hands, homie, you get slapped fast. Trust me, you're a midget, I'm a monster. Every slap I throw is a finisher. I just need one more person to hate me top. That's all. One more problem might make me kill them all. I'm a heartbreaker, kicker, I'm a hot trigger, nasty words. I got two fingers, it serves. I'm a dirtbag, no good bastard. You crackhead, you must love getting rocked. Take your door off the flathead and take everything that you got. Hey, whoa, don't make me put in my purse. We don't need Gucci on cards. You think you bad, I'm the worst in your family. Worse in your family to church, so baby, don't get on my nerve. Like, I don't know about these, all I know is how we go.